Hi, I'm Dr. Manju, and today I am going to talk about fear and how to combat fear even if you are constantly worrying. Uh, so this is a topic that comes up a lot, and recently I asked my Facebook group, the women in my Facebook group, about what their biggest fear was regarding their fertility journey. And their answers were probably not very surprising. Their answers were, they were afraid that they couldn't have a baby, were afraid that they wouldn't be able to have a biological child. They were worried that they would miscarry. They were worried that their doctors would give up on them. So you could see how fear could be emotionally crippling and simply will stop you dead in your tracks if you're not careful, because the fear leads to anxiety, stress, constant worry, and obsessive thoughts. And so I'm going to talk today about how to combat fear, because the stress, anxiety, and obsessive thinking is not going to be very good, especially if you're undergoing assisted reproduction or trying to get pregnant naturally. The stress obviously isn't good for fertility in general. So I'm going to talk about specific ways that you can use to combat your fear. Now, if the fear is severe, you want to seek counsel with a psychiatrist, therapist, trained coach, or psychologist. So let's get that out of the way. So if it's you don't want to do this by yourself if the fear is very severe, because then you need proper treatment. So I'm going to go over there are about 5 or 6 techniques that you can use to help yourself get a hold and a grip of your fear. Now, one of the first things that you can do is to make a pact with yourself to stay in the present moment. To stay in the present moment and live daily, moment to moment. Instead of living in the future or living in the past, a vow to live in the present day. And meditation is something that will help you live in the present day. So that's one thing that you can do. The other thing you can do is to journal out your negative feelings. Journaling is great therapy. Now, when you're journaling your negative feelings, what I would ask you to do is, for every negative feeling that you have, think of the opposite of that feeling and think of a positive feeling that can combat the negative feeling. For instance, if you're feeling like there's a lot of fear around miscarrying, what you can think to yourself is, what a positive statement would be: I will carry this baby to term without any complication or any kind of difficulty. So that's a positive statement. So that's one way that you can, one technique that you can use. And I would recommend journaling daily, preferably before bedtime, so that you infiltrate your mind at night with a lot of positive statements. These statements over time will seep into your subconscious mind. You don't have to journal every single day. You can actually spend a couple of days reading what you've journaled the night before, or do it in the morning or in the afternoon, or whatever time that it kind of works for you. The other thing that you can do is, of course, when you feel a worrisome thought or like an obsessive thought come on, take a moment. Go someplace private, relax, and start breathing. And start breathing a positive thought into your body. And specifically, if you can take that thought and breathe it into your heart, the left side of your chest where your heart is, it has been shown that when you're anxious, the heart has discordant activity. So if you can calm yourself down and breathe into your heart, this is actually a heart math breathing technique. Take a few nice deep breaths and kind of breathe into your heart. It can kind of help after a while extinguish this worry and anxiety. And every time you have the obsessive thought, deep breathe and breathe it into your heart. And do this several times. Breathing is something you can do anytime, anywhere, and people don't even have to know that you're doing it. So that's why I like that. There's also the 4-7-8 breathing techniques. I've done a bunch of videos on that. You can find them on this page. if you want to practice the 4-7-8 breathing technique, that actually has been scientifically shown to reduce anxiety and stress. So you could do that. The other thing is visualization. This is something that you might want to do in a private setting. Visualize yourself carrying, for instance, if you're worried about miscarrying, carrying the baby to term without any difficulty. You can do that several times a day. And, athletes use visualization a lot, and visualization is also known to, if you can visualize over and over again a positive outcome, it's known to bring about a positive outcome if you can simply visualize that. That's one technique that you can do. The other thing is affirmation. So remember that I told you in your journal you can take a negative thought and turn it into a positive thought. Well, all these positive thoughts that you have are actually affirmations. And affirmations are simply positive statements. And when you repeat these positive statements to yourself over and over again, it kind of seeps into your subconscious mind. And you start to develop new ways of thinking. And my suggestion is that you do this on a daily basis. At least if you make a bunch of affirmations, say them to yourself several times a day, and do this for about 30 days. And you should see a shift in your thinking. You will not be as negative. You will not feel as negative. So that's one recommendation that I have. And the other thing is to, we all have a lot of worry and stress in our lives, and it's called the negativity bias. We're all kind of programmed to be negative. Naturally, it's just a survival mechanism. But try to get back to neutral. We're always thinking, what's the worst thing that can happen? But isn't it also true that the best thing can also happen? Isn't it also true that for everything bad that you think could happen, couldn't something good also happen? So stay in neutral. I call it cautious optimism. Stay cautiously optimistic about the future. You're neither extremely optimistic nor are you extremely negative. Stay in the neutral. Fear is anxiety provoking, and it can stop you dead in your tracks, and it can simply stop you from taking action if there's too much fear. So these techniques are useful. Let me make sure I wrote them down. So I want to make sure I covered all of them. We talked about deep breathing. We talked about seeing a psychiatrist. We talked about stopping projecting into the future to stay in the present. We talked about dealing with the present moment instead of projecting into the future. We talked about staying neutral. We talked about affirmations, and we talked about visualization. Fear is real, especially when you are undergoing fertility treatments. They're extremely stressful and they're extremely expensive. And these are just a few things that you can do to help yourself. And if you'd like any help with these techniques or would like some coaching, I'm going to put a link below for a 20-minute consultation. Again, I'm Dr. Manju. I help women optimize their fertility by helping them with their mindset and making positive diet and lifestyle changes. You can check out my website, Fertility, Wisdom, and Wellness. Thanks for taking the time to look at this video. If you have any questions, just jot them down, and hope to bring you more useful information in the future. I will talk to you all later. Bye.